Welcome to the video, thank you for watching. So you might recognise this lens that I've got in my hand here, which is the Canon 100-400 Mark II L lens. It's a lens well respected, it's very sharp, and it's a good all-around lens to carry around. But, and there's a big but here, you may find autofocus lacking in speed. And I have been criticised by a lot of people, who've left comments saying I'm an idiot, I don't know what I'm talking about, autofocus is really quick, I can get good sharp images, why can't you? And I wanted to address those comments here. Now, while this lens is a great lens for all-around photography, I do find autofocus slow. And when I talk about slow, I'm not talking about being able to take a static image quickly before it moves. I'm talking about being able to capture images that are flying in the sky quickly. Examples of this would be bird of prey flying in the sky, swooping onto their prey, or diving into a lake to get some fish, or an aircraft flying at Mach 2. I'm talking about extreme focus speeds that you can't get with this lens. Now, it is true that budget DSLRs will struggle with this lens because they don't offer enough power from the battery to drive the autofocus at full speed. This is true because if you had a 1DX Mark II and you say compared it to a budget 600D camera, you'd find autofocus probably half the speed in the 600D versus the 1DX, because the 1DX has a bigger battery, and it's physics basically. If you've got a bigger battery, you've got more power, and you can apply that towards the autofocus motor. So it's quite common sense really. But I wanted to debunk the myth that people have been saying I'm talking absolute rubbish when it comes to autofocus with this lens being really fast. And I have had confirmation from other YouTubers that have said that as well. Basically, when you use a more professional grade camera, autofocus is a lot quicker. What you've got to remember is this lens is about £2,000, right? And to get a prime with instant autofocus, you're talking about spending anything between £5,000 to £12,000, a lot more money. So it stands to reason that they've made compromises somewhere. And one of those compromises, I believe, is autofocus quickness in this lens. Do not get me wrong, it's good enough for all-around use. Sports photographers probably will be okay with this. But if you're someone who's wanting instant autofocus rather than quick, sometimes good isn't good enough. Sometimes you need excellent. That's why people buy Ferraris, instead of buying a moderately priced Porsche or something like that. They want the absolute best. And unfortunately, while this lens is fantastic, and I cannot praise it enough, it's a great lens for what it is. But what you've got to remember is, if you're a wildlife shooter or an extreme sports shooter, you may find autofocus quite slow. And what I have found is in low light situations, the autofocus does tend to hunt a little bit. But rather than just believe what I have to say on this video, I've come up with some examples for you to watch. So after this video, you'll see those examples, and then hopefully you'll agree with me that while autofocus is relatively quick in relative terms, it's not super instant, and that's my point when I reviewed it originally. And what you've got to remember is, on this lens it has a 3 meter limiter, which is not that far away. You see, it can autofocus from 0.98 centimeters to infinity, and that's a massive distance to cover for the optics and the autofocus motor on this lens. Now, there are a lot of other lenses like the Sigmas and the Tamrons that have much better limiters on them, such as obviously the 150 to 600 comes to mind, but they do have limiters ranging from 10 meters, 15 meters, 20 meters, even 30 meters when you customize it with the docks and the tap. where those limiters are comparable to what you would get on the Canon primes. Generally, the Canon primes have, I think the 300 has a 2.4 meter limiter. I know for a fact the 500mm prime f4 has a 10 meter limiter to infinity. So obviously it's less distance for the optics to move and acquire instant quick autofocus. So that's my point with the reviews that I've done on this lens, where I felt that the 150 to 600 lenses acquired focus a little bit faster than this. Not a huge amount, but a little bit. Anyway, without further ado, have a look at the examples and you make your mind up then. Don't just listen to me. Let's take a look at those examples. Right, we're just going to check the Canon 100-400 II L lens, EF mount lens, because many people have said I don't know what I'm on about, so let's have a look at the focus. So let's set the lens to 0.98 centimeters, its minimum focus, on the EOS R. So let's just have a look how quick it is. Okay, fairly quick. So let's go to infinity focus and try again. Pretty quick. I'll do that again, so we've got some consistency. 0.98 centimeters. Locked on. Let's go to infinity. There we go. Alright, that's 300mm on the L lens. So let's try this at 400mm. Okay, we're set to 400mm. Let's defocus the lens at 0.98 centimeters. Locked on. Let's go to infinity and try again. Locked on. So for consistency, let's try that again. Minimum focus 0.98 centimeters. Locked on. And let's try that again at infinity. Okay, so we're locked on. So let's try something else. Okay, so this time we're going to try again with the 1.4 Mark III extender. I want to show you how quick it can focus, or how slow, depending on your perspective. So let's go to minimum focus again, 0.98 centimeters, and let's focus. Locked on. Let's go to infinity. Locked on. Let's go to minimum focus again. Locked on. And let's go to infinity focus. Again, we're testing this on the EOS R, and that's the focus test. So let's try something else. Right, we've got the 2x extender here, the 2.0 extender, the Mark III on the Canon 100-400 Mark II L lens. I thought for just the fun of it, I would show you how quick autofocus is on the EOS R with this particular setup, giving us 800mm at f11. So this is comparable to the RF 800mm lens, prime lens that is. So without further ado, I thought I'd show you how this works in terms of the autofocus and see how quick it is. So we'll defocus the focus. At the moment we're locked on there. So let us just defocus it to its minimum focus, 0.98 centimeters, and let's just see how quickly it focuses. Locked on. Let's go to infinity focus, just see how that does. Locked on. So just for consistency, let's try that again. Minimum focus. Locked on. And let's do that again to infinity for consistency. Locked on, and there you go. That's the test completed.